for introducing me there. And you know what? I'll share my screens first. Hang on. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Yeah, hang on a minute. Just turn off my camera so you can just concentrate on the screen. Yeah, thanks for joining us today and a big warm welcome here from Donegal in Ireland. We've a lot to cover, so I'll jump in and get started. Right, here's a rough outline of what I want to cover today. First off, I'll tell you a little bit about me. Then we'll dive into the world of microcopy. I'll tell you exactly what microcopy is. You probably know already. It's also known as UX copy. Next up, we'll discuss why microcopy is so important. Then we'll get to the juicy bit, how to craft good microcopy, and I'll give you some tips and tricks, and that'll be followed by a little demo. And then before we wrap up, I'll share some valuable resources with you that you can help you master the art of microcopy. And then, as Rahul said, if you've any questions along the way, don't hesitate to drop them into the chat, and hopefully we'll tackle them at the end. Okay, a little bit about me and my background. As Rahul said, I've been a technical writer for over 20 years. In previous companies, I worked mainly on user guides, technical manuals, release notes, API docs, not so much in API docs, that's another thing I want to get back more into, and on online help. I still do work on those, but since I've joined Bizarre Voice 4 years ago, my main focus has shifted a lot more towards product microcopy because Bizarre Voice is very UX driven. And I work in a team called the Product Knowledge Team, quite a large team for a company. We have 9 technical writers, including myself, and I believe my colleague Julie is online also at this webinar. Welcome, Julie. We're a diverse group, and we're actually very close personally as well. We really keep in touch, like outside of work as well. And we're spread across the 3 geos. Hi, Julie. We're in India, Northern Ireland, and North America. So I've been a remote worker for actually quite a while, even before the pandemic. We've an office up in Belfast, which is located here in the map. But and I check in once a month, actually go up there physically. It's great to connect with my other colleagues. But if you look at this map, this is where you'll find me residing. I work in my home office at the very, very tip of the northern coast of Ireland, surrounded by 3 beautiful beaches, and we're right next door to the United Kingdom. But moving on, here's a little bit of glimpse about who I am outside work. I've been married for 20 years. Same amount of years I've actually been in technical writing. My husband still doesn't really get what I do, but I do try to educate him. There's a photograph here of my hubby, my 3 boys, and my daughter's taking the picture, so she's not actually in it. Right, my family is the single most important thing in my life, and technical writing is nearly up there. It's my second most important thing. Some of my favorite things to do outside of work is hill walking, hiking mountains, and cold sea dipping. I don't know if you're familiar with cold sea dipping. We're surrounded by the North Atlantic Sea. The water's always freezing, but me and a group of friends plunge into the sea at least 3 times a week. Super invigorating and really good for your mental health. And then one last fact, I just had to throw it in. My all-time favorite artist is Prince. Best concert I've ever been to. But anyway, that's about me. Let me tell you a little bit more about Bizarre Voice, the company I work in, before we get stuck into the microcopy. Right. Bizarre Voice is a global tech company. We've got offices all over the world. We're about 800 people. Headquarters is in Austin, Texas. And we have 2 other main offices, one in Belfast, Northern Ireland, which I showed you in the map there earlier, and the other one is in Bangalore in India, which is where Julie works. And what do? We provide ratings and review software to a lot of large retail companies. I've named a couple of them there: Sephora, L'Oreal, LG, Samsung, the Disney store, Target, Walmart, a lot of big brand names. But you wouldn't actually know our software. This ratings and reviews you see under, if you go to buy any products here, like makeup, I don't know, a washing machine, a bike, you'll find ratings and reviews type software or ratings reviews underneath each product that you go to look at if you go to buy it online. And it's actually our software. If you see these yellow stars, you're probably looking at Bizarre Voices software. But anyway, do you know what? I'll go and show you. Argos, ARGOS. UK, order online. All right, I'm going to say I'm looking for a bike. I want to look at the reviews before I go anywhere near it. Right, so let's go 460. Right, that looks good. 82 reviews. Now I'll go for this one. Right, so there you go. Looking at the bike, there's the price, about the product, but I want to look at the reviews. So I've just clicked on that. That is actually our software. You can see our logo there, Bizarre Voice, authentic reviews. There's also a wee bit here about us. This feedback, all these reviews, these 400 and whatever there was there, is collected by our company. And then they plug, our software plugs into these guys' websites. So anywhere you see these yellow stars, it's probably Bizarre Voice. But if you go down to the review area of it, you'll see our wee logo here, our logo provided here again. So anyway, that is what we do. We provide ratings and review software for these big companies. And myself, Julie, and the other 7 technical writers, we write the product documentation. We also do obviously the microcopy for all our software products, the in-app help, the knowledge base articles, and that gives you a wee sort of inkling to what we do. But anyway, let's move on to our main topic, which is microcopy. So what is microcopy? It's basically all those little bits of instructions or little bits of text that appear on every application, every website you interact with. This is any text at all you see on a digital screen. So looking at these examples, for instance, you've got your instructional text here, which telling somebody how to fill in their car tax registration. We've got our button labels here, the cancel subscription, the keep the plan, which helps the user take action. They know which the text on the buttons instructs them which one they want to do. We've got this error validation message here, invalid email address. I would have added actually more information here. I would have given them the format of the email, but I grabbed this from the internet. Then we've got these helpful guidelines, passport guides. They're written up by a user experience writer. And lastly, we've got this confirmation feedback message telling Andrew that his flight's been confirmed to Dublin or to London. So yeah, all of this is microcopy, and it's not written by your engineers. It's written by our UX writers or technical writers. But all microcopy has one goal: to instruct or guide the users through the digital product as smoothly as possible. So why is microcopy so important? Well, words matter. These tiny words or clusters of words may seem insignificant, but words form the backbone of communication between your end user and your product. So without these words or guidance, the user can become lost and leave your product for a competitor who can help them. And I know there's not a lot of microcopy in this particular example, but can you imagine interacting with this Airbnb booking form with 0 words to guide you? So to illustrate the point, I've taken out all the words. So the layout's the same, the euro symbols are still there, the button is unchanged, it's in the same location. I've just simply removed the words. So imagine you log on to book a room, an Airbnb house. There's no, well, you'd struggle to, you would sort of maybe think that's a check-in date, that's a checkout date, but without words to guide you, it would be very frustrating. And here's another example. This is a UK government website where a non-employed person would go to sign up and get notified about jobs. Really nicely laid out, great informational, instructional text there. Add your email address, your password, minimum 8 characters, gives you a lot of like guidance how to fill in the password, confirm, create account. But again, let's remove the microcopy. The form hasn't changed, but without the words and instructions, how will this end user navigate the screen? Just imagine it. And I know this is an extreme example, it's just for this webinar, but unclear or badly written microcopy has the same effect. Your user can get confused or even abandon your app, and that'll cost your company money. So next up, how do we craft good microcopy? Before I show you what good microcopy looks like, I want to show you some maybe not so good microcopy. So if you look at these examples, have you ever tried to fill in a form online and you maybe filled in 30 fields, and then next thing you click submit, and you get to the bottom, and it says something like invalid form has errors, and it doesn't really give you any guidance which fields were the invalid fields. Then you try to figure it out, and you waste so much time, and you get more and more frustrated as you go back and forth. Or this is like vague, unclear messages. For example, there, say it's just the email you didn't fill in properly. Would a message like, I don't know, please enter a valid email address using the following format be a better example of good microcopy? But we're still in the bad microcopy area at the minute, so let's look at the rest of these messages. Right, so can't find the object, failed. Look at the alarming message, a message that's going to make the user feel bad. Can't find the object, failure. I don't know if that's directing it at the user, but it doesn't make you feel very good. You can't even understand it. Also, I've seen this in a couple of instances in the past. Shame text, 2 options. You're about to join somewhere, you're not sure, and the dialogue comes up, join now, or no thanks, I like to make bad choices. Psychologically, it doesn't make the user feel very good. And also you've got robotic text, not so much anymore, but I have seen this in the past. Your account has been frozen, abort. And then in the last example there, there's a typo. Are you sure you want to delete the image? This is the ultimate sin, actually, for technical writing and UX writing. Typos can seriously impact how your product and brand are reviewed. So yeah, but if you've got a good quality assurance process in check, there'll be no typos in your microcopy. But yeah, basically bad. Look, there's another bad example. Vague error messages. So bad UX microcopy can break your product, and it's often the cause of high cart abandonments in carts or failed product signups. So yeah, and it can often result in your company losing money. So we'll move on to the good stuff. Good microcopy and the 4 C's. Clear. To make good microcopy, always have these in the back of your mind. Make it clear, make it concise, make it consistent, and make it customer focused. These are the 4 golden rules that you can apply, that I do apply when I'm crafting microcopy. But we'll go through each one of these in turn. Right, make it clear. Clear means easy to understand. If users don't understand what's going on screen, they will drop out, or they will go down the wrong path, as unclear microcopy will mislead them. So it's important that we're specific. Be specific as opposed to vague. Look at the button labels in this first example, for instance. In the first...
excuse me, somebody's mic is on. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so thanks for alerting me there. Yeah, so in this first example, the button text is 100% isn't 100% clear. Do you want to cancel the subscription? Yes, I want to cancel. That's what that button means. You want to cancel. The cancel button text actually that actually is cancelling the dialogue, not cancelling the subscription. Whereas on the right hand side, do you want to cancel the subscription? Yes, cancel. Very clear. Whereas over here it's yes. And no, I don't want to cancel, not now. So that's 2 simple examples of be specific when you're writing your microcopy. Clear text helps your users complete tasks easily. This took me a minute to read a couple of times. And the yes relates to cancelling, not this cancel button. While in the second example, you'll get that as passive. So keep it simple. Yeah, use simple language and avoid convoluted words. For example, I was taking a quiz a couple of months ago and I didn't pass, actually, but I got a message that pops up on the screen and says, commiserations, you didn't pass this time. The word commiserations means sorry. That's convoluted. It would have been better just say, sorry, you didn't pass this time. Please take the quiz again. So just plain English is a lot easier to understand, digest. Yeah, active versus passive, whatever your company uses, go with. But microcopy, the active voice tends to be the default style for most digital products. It's more energetic. Yeah, over here, there's an example of passive, and active. So passive, a task was completed by Anthony D. Passive or active, Anthony D created a task. It's just a lot easier to read. Yeah, an active voice is a lot more conversational and friendly. And also, last but not least, avoid using jargon or technical terms like invalid system error, which there doesn't seem to be as many messages like them before. I think it's because UX writers are getting involved more and more in the development process. So what does that actually tell a user? Invalid system error? Not much. So the third example is another example of jargon. The operation couldn't be completed. Transfer, one touch, login flow. Some companies are guilty of showing messages like this. So moving on to the next guideline for writing good microcopy, it's make it concise. It's called micro for a reason. Writing concisely means removing the redundant words and writing shorter, snappier instructions or phrases. And a lot of research has been done on this, because concise content, short headings, short labels, small labels on the screen, it grabs users' attention better. It allows the user to scan easier and faster. It takes less time to read, and it reduces cognitive load. So a few tips like tabs, menus, headings should be 3 words or less. There's been research done on this as well. Use numerals instead of words for number. I know in technical writing, we always use words for numerals, but in microcopy, less is more. And the average sentence length reading for readability is between 15 and 20 words, but the shorter the better. More research has been done on this. Between 8 and 10 words is really, really easy to read and understand. Sixth graders can understand it. Plus, in addition to making it concise, there's often space restrictions on a screen. So that's another reason for making it concise. So looking at these examples on the right-hand side, 1, 2, 3, 9 words, which could have been said in 4. You need to log in to download this video, log in to download. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words can easily be done in 2. Delete 2 files. Users scan. Also notice instead of the word 2, we've got the figure 2. And also on the buttons, labels like no, okay, cancel are very vague button labels. Be more specific. So do you want to delete these 2 files? No, okay. Or delete 2 files? Yes, I want to delete. There, nothing to think about, delete, or I want to keep them. So much better than no or okay. And lastly, omit redundant words like a, and the. So this example, create a new user as opposed to create user. The word new is not needed, it's redundant. The word create implies that they're going to be new anyway, you're creating it new. Don't need the a, the and, or the create a user, create the user. Your users tend to scan. So yeah, that's it. But one more disclaimer. Sometimes making it concise, you can lose value. So make sure when you're thinking about this, like for instance, this label here, sign up, it could have easily just been sign up, but adding the word it's free helps the user decide, will I sign up? Oh, it's free, definitely will. So in this instance, normally, yes, make it concise, but in some instances, while you're depending on the goal of the form or the goal of your product, adding the words free adds to the decision making for the user. But just keep that in mind whenever you're thinking about this particular guideline. Anyway, next. Make your microcopy consistent. So use the same terminology throughout your product. Make sure the microcopy is consistent on all parts. Like take this example. There's several words you can use for the same action. Like say we're updating a profile. I took this as an example. At one of our products, I could on my action button, I could write amend profile, change profile, edit profile, or update profile. They all sort of have the same meaning. But if I go with this, say, edit, the verb we tend to use for updating things, I will tend to use that. Well, we all do, technical writers will use that throughout our product. So say in a different screen or a different product, it's amend a report or change a report. So if we're using edit on the profile, we'll also use the word edit on the report. So just be consistent. Case, decide on your company style and stick to it. Don't use title case on one screen or one part of your product, and then the user gets to maybe the last screen and using sentence case. Or if you've got a couple of products using title case, don't be mixing them up. Have the same case, be consistent. Once a learner has used your language, or a user has learned your language, they'll find it easier to scan through your screens, and they get used to the look and feel of your screens. Voice and tone. Sorry. Voice and tone. You may have a professional tone or a more less formal, friendly tone when writing microcopy. It'll depend on your audience. For example, look at these two bottom examples. This is an example from two airlines. They both have two different target audiences. Ryanair is an Irish airline, and they have an older audience, so they tend to go with a more direct and formal tone when writing their microcopy. Whereas Skyscanner has definitely a lot younger target audience. They offer cheaper flights, so there you go. Skyscanner uses less formal, more friendly language. So book a flight or where to next. So just keep your voice and tone consistent. Don't have a mix. It confuses the user. Yeah, being consistent is about using the same words and phrases when referring to the same thing. So yeah, keep everything consistent. And in addition to being clear, concise, and consistent, the overall arching principle or guideline, it's all about the customer and their experience when using your product. So when drafting your microcopy, be empathetic, put yourself in your customer's shoes. That's what I do now. Whenever you're writing your microcopy, read it, but put yourself in your customer's shoes. Read it, rewrite it, reread it, rewrite it. Just iteration after iteration after iteration. Alleviate your users' concerns and build trust. Do you ever download an app, say a 30-day free trial, and when you sign up, it asks you for your credit card details? Or you're booking a room and they ask you for your credit card details, and they said originally on the website they said no payment needed up front, but adding the credit card details makes people nervous. So a little bit of microcopy can alleviate these concerns, like something like no credit card required until 2 days before you book. So look at this example over here. They're asking you to add your credit card details, but this little bit of microcopy, no charge, only needed to reserve your room. So you won't actually be charged. They're only using it for recording purposes. Another message down here, your card will not be charged. It's only needed to guarantee your booking. So reassuring the end user with good microcopy. Also, this is nice put in microcopy too for people who didn't know what their CSC code are. The second example, if you've ever bought anything online, they ask you to enter your address details. And then I always think, like, why are they asking you for your mobile? They don't need your mobile number to deliver your parcels. But I was on ASOS a couple of weeks ago. I see this little bit of microcopy. Your mobile number is needed for delivery updates only. So reassuring me that I wasn't going to get inundated with sales calls from ASOS sales team. And then this third example, this little bit of text at the bottom, it's let me know that the total price includes everything. There's no need to worry about hidden fees and charges. So yeah, very reassuring. Just alleviate concerns and build trust with your users. Yeah, and I know I keep on skipping past slides. So yeah, lastly, delight your users. What do I mean by this? Do you ever subscribe to something online, and you're logging in after you've signed up, and you get a message something like, thank you for joining us, Caroline, or welcome back, Rahul. All they've done is add your name, but it makes you feel special. It delights users. So going that extra mile when writing your microcopy. It's basically being customer focused. And then I like this example from IKEA. I thought it was very delightful microcopy. So it's quite late at night and I need to go to IKEA. So I type in the address to Google Maps and a message comes back politely letting me know. So it's a 20-minute journey, but it's now 9:47. So it's politely letting me know that it's going to take 15 minutes to get to IKEA and that I'm not going to make it. So it's basically it's good microcopies, thinking about what the user wants, even before the user or the customer knows what he or she wants. So anyway, that's about delighting your using, going that extra mile. So microcopy, is it simple crafting it? I don't think it's simple and it's not extremely hard, but there is a misconception that because it's so small, it's micro, that it won't take that long to write. I get messages from engineers or UX designers going like, could you write that? Could you rewrite this little bit of microcopy for me? And it takes time. Actually be surprised at the time and effort it takes to write effective UI copy. It takes a lot of research and a lot of collaboration with your UX designers and your project managers. Um, in fact, I think I could write a full page of instructions to guide me through, I know, one part of a product quicker than I could write that microcopy. It's misconceiving how long it takes to write good microcopy. But keep all 4 C's in mind. Make it clear, concise, consistent, and most of all, make it personal or customer focused and connect with the user. But trying to get that balance, trying to get all those 4 C's, it's time consuming. But when you get it right, you'll know. So look at this example, right? There's 3 different versions here. So look at the first one, system error. Very vague heading. What does that tell me? The system error, not great. There was an error while booking your tickets. Okay, so what do I do now? So I close, that's me out of that app. I'm not going any further. So here's a second iteration, a little bit better. The heading's still not great, very vague. The seats you chose are no longer available. Okay, so I'm not going to book that flight in Ryanair. So I'll close. But look at this. There's actually probably another iterations before we got to this one. There's a lot more informative, a lot more customer friendly, a lot more guidance. Seats 142B and 143B are no longer available. So you want to cancel reservations. But no, I think I still want to use your airline. I'll choose other seats and it redirects them back to the website. You're not going to lose them. So yeah, microcopy, simple, not so simple. But as you work in microcopy more and more, and you've got your own guidelines and you more practice and more experience, it definitely gets easier. So next I want to mention content design systems. Not sure if you've heard what a content design system. It's basically a style guide. When you're doing usual technical writing, your user guides, your in-app help, you always refer to either your Microsoft style guide or your in-house style guide. But a content design system, it's a set of guidelines, standards, and best practices for creating both the UI design and the microcopy content that goes into the design. So yeah, but whereas our style guides are written by technical writers for technical writers, the content design systems or style guide is used by product designers, UX writers, and front-end engineers. All 3 roles would refer to the content design system for best practice guidelines and examples. But it aids consistency, saves time, and frees up capacity because every time you go into the microcopy, like, oh, I think that's documented in our content design system, I'll just refer there. But there's lots of open source public content design systems out there, and I often refer to them. I use IBM's content design system, Google's, and Spotify. So I'll just jump off the slide now and let you look at a content design system that I would use. Wise. Yeah, Wise is So these guys have a great content design system. So a UX designer or a front-end engineer might, look at this particular section of this content design. So it's information on every single UI component that can go into a screen, the buttons, the checkboxes, the data input, the date dropper. So if I click on buttons, I'm a designer and I'm click design a button, I would get all the information for how to use it, best practice guidelines, where to place it on the screen, how to interact with it, accessibility guidelines. Everything's contained in this online style guide, whereas the UX writers would refer to this part of the content design system. It's basically how to design the text on the button. Like a button copy should have a verb, start with a verb. It should be literally one or two words, no more. Avoid using words like me, my, or I. Be in sentence case, always capitalize the first letter of the word, have no full stop. So look, I always back it up. Most content design systems have examples to back them up. So log in, good microcopy. Not so good microcopy. I want to log into my account. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words and a full stop. Yeah. So anyway, that's a little bit about content design systems. I'll jump back to the slides. This is IBM's one, by the way. And at Bizarre Voice, we also have a content design system. Let me show you this. But ours wouldn't be as established as those big IBMs, Googles, and Spotify's. So Aperture is the name of our design system, our content design system. So for all the UI components that goes into our screens, and I'll look at buttons again, buttons. So the designer would look at these, or the front-end engineer, where to place them, what they look like, the size, the best practices when they're drawing them or creating them in the wireframes. And then this is our tab, the microcopy. Use an action verb, very similar to Wise's content design. Use an action verb, use sentence case, keep labels concise, 1 or 2 words. Actually, it's very similar to theirs. Don't use articles. Now we have a couple of examples down here. These are common buttons. But anyway, you get the general gist. Content design systems will help you when designing your microcopy. They'll make it more efficient, and you're all singing from the same hymn sheet. Right, what is next? Right, how do we work? How do UX writers work? It's all about collaboration. UX designer and the UX writer and the project manager tend to work very, very closely together. As well as being a key member of the product knowledge team, where all technical writers work as a team. Each technical writer is seconded into a product team as well, with a mix of engineering and the UX disciplines. So in previous companies, when I worked as a technical writer, I tended to work more towards the end of the development cycle, writing up user guides, release notes, in-app help, etc. But definitely more on the outside as a service. I don't know if you are familiar. Is that the way they used to work in your companies? But anyway, but when I joined Bizarre Voice, we're very much integrated into the product team. Yeah, we're and when working with UX product designers, UX designers, we're working very closely at the research, discovery, prototyping stage of product creation. You know, you're involved from the get-go. So by the time it comes to writing, I actually, as well as doing microcopy, I still write the user guides, the in-app help. That's all important stuff. But because we're all involved very much early on at the start of the product creation, or the function or the feature that you're working on, it's very easy to write up the in-app help and user guides later on. So good microcopy is now seen actually as essential to product success and a seamless customer experience. So I think actually UX writing is giving technical writers more visibility and credibility within the tech industry. They see the rest of the product development team see how important words are, and I think they rate us better. So yeah, UX writing has actually evolved into its own discipline in the tech industry in the last 3 or 4 years. I actually keep on getting pinged with notifications about UX writing jobs. Yeah, and just want to mention the tools that we use at Bizarre Voice. Our UX designers use a tool called Figma for creating their digital wireframes. It's like a high fidelity prototyping tool, and they've used Figma to design the workflows and the digital screens, the forms, the navigation, the drop-down menus, etc. Then we would come in, the UX writers, with a tool called Ditto, and it's a tool that helps us collaborate on the wording within the Figma file. So anyway, I'm going to go off screen and actually show you Figma and Ditto working together. So right, this is a typical project that designer has worked on. They've done up all the screens for the whole this bit of functionality. So if I jump into like this one, yeah, say this one, I'll zoom in. Right, so the UX designer would develop the screens for all of them. They would add the tabs, they would design the layout. They've done this filter type functionality. All right, hang on. Whoops, sorry, get ahead of myself. Make this a wee bit smaller. Right, so imagine when I come in or a technical writer comes in, there's not much wording on the screen. So we would extract all the wording on the screen out to ditto. Let me see. So I would add ditto in as a plugin. And basically what it would do, it would sync up with the Figma file and it would extract all the content, all the words on this design screen out into the Figma project. So if I open Ditto here, so all the words that are on that screen should be extracted out into here. Yeah, so there you go. And if I look at the design view, there you go. That's the screen I'm looking at. So I want to work on all the wording on this screen. And typically there would be no wording on the screen. It would either be placement text or just dummy text. So what is Ditto? It's a tool for technical writers, but it works seamlessly with Figma. And it's a central hub where we manage all the microcopy across all the products. And it's basically a single source of truth. So instead of microcopy being scattered across, well, I'll show you that as well, actually. So previous to working in Figma and Ditto, which work seamlessly together, we used to work this way. We would get the design screens. The UX designers would work in an app called Envision app to design all the screens. I would have to take like snippets of the screen, take a screenshot, put it in here, develop this table. So for this particular part of the screen, it's like the intro text, put it up here, write this in, where it is on the screen. This was the current sort of microcopy in that screen, and then I would come up with the reviewed microcopy. But after talking to the UX designer, the engineers, the product manager, make sure it's accurate, correct. Then I would add comments in here, send it to my peer technical writers. They would review it, and then we'd sign it off. And then when it was signed off, we'd add a wee tick in here to say it's done. So we would do that for all. So I would take a screenshot of this, give it, this is the heading label. That is the total reviews heading. That's in app help. This is the current topic. We'd add in suggestions and comments. It would get reviewed and get added in. Anyway, that was the old way of working in Google Docs or in spreadsheets. We would send them off to technical writers for review. They would come back. But now we're using Figma and Ditto. So if I'm working on, say, this one, for instance, I can see that one hasn't been signed off yet. This has got different statuses. So that's approved. That's where red is work in progress. So this one's a new label that's been added because there's no color code on it. So if I click on that, put it to status, work in progress, to turn it red. And I know for a fact we don't have that microcopy apply and save. It's usually apply and, well, for instance, it wouldn't be title case for a start. It would be apply and small s. But I don't think we have that microcopy. So I can go and search for microcopy in here, something like, I know apply is one of our microcopy standards. So I'll put in here, apply, right? So apply and close. So it's apply and close. That's been approved in 5, 6 different screens. So I know that's the right one. Let's see, can get back. Whoops. Bear with me, I've lost it. Yeah, another thing you can do is you can pin these to the very top window so you don't lose where you are. So if I pin at the top, I'll always know where I am. So yeah, that particular label, I know it's not apply and close, it's apply and, no, it's apply and close, not apply and save. So I'll change that in here. Apply and close, lowercase c. I can assign it to a technical author, Julie. She'll go off. Okay, she'll get a message. She'll come in and review that. If she says that's correct, you're right, 100%, I will correct it. Well, I'll have made it ready for status review first. Then if it's signed off, I'll make it final. Then I'll go back in here, and all I have to do is sync it up. So that should change to apply and close. Hopefully this will work. Nope, typical, didn't work in the demo. But anyway, we will go back to the slides, but you get the gist. It's a lot more efficient. It's a central hub. You can collaborate with all your stakeholders in this tool. It's a lot more efficient, and it's made our job extremely more easy to use. Okay, so anyway, I know we've got 8 minutes left. So key takeaways, right? Small words have a huge impact on the end user's experience, and effective microcopy can make a product more engaging and easy use. So words are important. Bad microcopy, on the other hand, can mislead or confuse and lead to a bad user experience, and ultimately it can cost your company money. 3, yeah, if you follow the 4 C's formula, you should be well on your way to crafting good microcopy. Number 4, crafting good microcopy requires a lot of research and a lot of collaboration with your UX designers and your project managers and even your front-end engineers. In fact, great microcopy often goes unnoticed because it blends in so effortlessly with your project. You only ever notice bad microcopy, but if you don't really notice good microcopy unless it's on that delight spectrum. And then lastly, always leverage a content design system when working on your microcopy. There's plenty of, as I mentioned, plenty of publicly available content design systems that you can refer to out there. But if you want to create your own, then that's good as well, because it will be more in tone with your own company's brand and tone. So last but not least, I want to refer you to a couple of useful resources. First off, this is a great, short, engaging video that explains UX writing in a nutshell. Then we have, or if your team is responsible for microcopy, then you should just buy this book as a must. It's written by an Israeli woman called Kinnereth Eraf. I can't really pronounce her name, but she's a UX microcopy expert. And at Bizarre Voice, we actually call this our microcopy Bible. It's about $40 and it's a great reference. I have mine sitting here beside me on my desk. And then lastly, if you're interested in getting into the microcopy work, if you're not already in it, here's a free course that you can sign up. It's available from the UX Writing Hub, who are also a great resource for the latest trends in microcopy. So I'll actually post these links into the chat in a second. I'm just conscious of the time. Anyway, that's me. Everything I know on microcopy. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want to ask me anything offline or just simply to connect. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And I'll hand you back to Rahul and Panil now. And by the way, thank you for all listening.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you for that wonderful session. So we'll move on to the Q&A session now. We have a few different questions in the chat. The first question was, is Ditto the plugin that comes together with Figma? Is Figma and Ditto free or paid? I think somebody said that it was paid.
Figma, you have to pay for it. Our UX designer team pays for it, and we also, our seats on it, we have to pay. And Ditto is also another tool. It doesn't belong to Figma. It's a third-party tool. You also have to pay for it. But it definitely makes writing microcopy a lot more efficient. There's actually another couple of things I didn't get to show you about it, but You can sign up for a free trial anyway.
Thanks, Caroline. The next question is, if you add something in Ditto, will it be auto applied in Figma as well? And does it goes for same for the review comments too?
So if you once it's signed off,
yeah.
once you add something in Ditto, it's been signed up by the other your colleague, your peer technical writers, and you make it you change the status to approved. I think or the green status. You go back into Figma and you click that little add-on and you sync it up, and it actually is reflected back in Figma. There's no copy and pasted. It's automatically reflected back in. It's fetched. And it goes the other way as well. Say the UX designer is still working on a screen and they've changed the microcopy on their screens, the UI screens. You can do a sync and Ditto, and it'll be retrieved. It'll be brought into Ditto.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is, we have seen product managers wanting to put marketing or sales terms in the product. Have you ever dealt with this, and how have you approached the situation?
Say it again. So
we have seen that product managers waiting to put the marketing or sales terms in the product, right? So have you ever come across this situation, and how did you approach this?
no, they sort of leave us technical writers do, working on the product UI, not marketing type stuff. I don't know if you know aware of Pendo guides. Pendo guides are like those whenever you log into a product, they pop up and they're like what's new in this product, and they guide you through the tool. That's where the more marketing type terms are, but we've got a whole marketing team in Bizarre Voice, which work on the marketing type text.
Okay.
I don't really come across it myself.
And are we allowed to use short words such as can't, don't, instead of cannot or do not in microcopy writing?
So, sorry, say it again.
Short words such as can't or don't instead of cannot and do not. Are we allowed to use those short words?
Oh, abbreviations. Abbreviations.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't. We don't tend to use it. We use that to make our language more informal in the user guides, but we don't. We tend to spell them out in the microcopy.
Puneet, we have a lot more questions coming in. Can we take up a few more, or
I'm okay.
Okay. Thanks, Caroline. So I'll move on to the next question. Suppose there's an e-commerce project. As a business analyst, I need to work on the fulfillment requirement. So how I should define the order statuses when it's fulfilled, grammatically especially?
So you're a business analyst and you're a stakeholder in the fulfillment type.
Everyone went on mute.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So the question was, for an e-commerce project, if I'm a business analyst working on fulfillment requirements, how should I define the order statuses when it's fulfilled grammatically? I'm not sure how it's related to microcopy. Chirag, Bhavat,
and Caroline is on mute.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what the systems analyst is asking. Is he talking in relation to the actual fulfillment? Is he looking for a particular microcopy?
I'm not also sure because I don't see a relation for that against microcopy. So I'll just skip that for now. If the person is online, he can ask it directly. I'm moving on to the next question. How do you understand the users that you are writing for? How do you know what works for that particular consumer? Are you involved in the product design, or does it come later to you as it does for TWs, tech writers?
Actually, that's a good question. We technical writers are now involved very early in the discovery phase. We start off with a pilot project with 6 clients usually, and we're involved technical writer from the get-go. Like we're actually involved in the interviews, talking to the clients, so we know what they're looking for. We know their requirements. Plus, we use user personas. We have a typical audience. They're all consumers of retail websites.
Okay. Could you please share an example regarding drafting an error message? Any tip that you would suggest?
Sorry, say it again.
Could you please share an example regarding drafting an error message? Any tip that you would suggest?
Yes, be specific. Whatever the message is, always give them a way to get out of the error message. Just don't say system error. So say it's an error like the password one. Tell them that they should be in a specific format. Use X amount of characters, X amount of symbols, and try again later.
We have a similar question, but asking an extra point. Do we have any style guide for message text?
Yes, it's in this Bible Microcopy.
Yeah.
They've got a whole section on how to write error messages. Look at all the yellow post-it. I refer to this a lot. But also in those content design systems, they also have whole sections on error messages, page 106. It's 20 pages on it. Success messages, empty states, buttons. But you also want to develop your own content management system, content design system that aligns with your company's style. Like we use sentence case rather than title case.
Is using tooltips a good microcopy design? And another question.
Yes, because real estate space on screen is, is limited. There is some products that are so complicated, you're better off putting them in a tooltip. Also, the end users that we talk to, when they first use a product, they don't know their way around the screen. So at least if they, while they're learning your product, put the information in a tooltip, and they'll kick it a couple of times. Then after they're used to using your product, they won't need to go there anymore. So it's a good way of hiding text. Good for an onboarding person or a new person to your product, and thereafter they don't really want to see it anyway. So yeah, using tooltips is a good idea. And
Okay.
when you're stuck for real estate space, put your information in tooltip, which just pops up for a second. Again, all the guidelines for writing tooltips is also in there, or in a content design system.
Okay, Caroline, just one more last question. You mentioned the seat numbers for the airline seat numbers on one of your error messages. So does it increase front-end development effort to pull values from the database?
Yeah, it's just good practice. Our engineers, they created 2 variables for that particular message, or they could. It's not a big deal. It's like adding the name, thank you, Rahul, for signing up. They just put a variable in, and when you've signed up, they'll pull your name once you've signed up.
Okay.
But it's good practice to be so customer focused.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Caroline. That was all the questions, and the one pending was from Chirag Kubawat. If the person is there, you can directly ask the question because I didn't actually get what you were mentioning. Otherwise, we'll move on.
Okay, I'm sorry we went over time there, but can I just say thank you, Pernille and Rael and the Tribe community for inviting me to speak at this webinar today. It's an honor.
Yeah.
Thank you, Caroline, for your tips.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Caroline.
So I'll just say thank you and finish this. On behalf of TWT Kerala, we offer our sincere gratitude to you, Caroline, for taking the time and effort for going the extra mile to share your knowledge with your fellow writing community. Thank you, Puneet, for facilitating the event. And thank you to all the volunteers of TWT for spreading the word about this webinar. A special thanks to Julie, who was a volunteer for TWT Kerala. Julie was the one who suggested Caroline's name and brought her on board. So thanks, Julie. And finally, thank you to all the participants today that attended this webinar, despite being a weekend. So take care, everyone, and please have a wonderful weekend ahead.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. Bye, Julie.
Thank you,
Bye,
Caroline.